Okay. Well, this has been a long time in the coming. Wolfgang and I made the decision to do this. Oh, can we get the music turned off? Can everybody hear me back there too? Okay, I feel like I'm shouting, but if you can hear me, that's a good thing. Thank you. Thank you. That kind of helped the nerves a little because you can imagine I do have some nerves up here. So the first thing I want to just say, of course, is thank you to all of you for coming out and showing up. I really appreciate it. I know on this beautiful day, there's a million other things that you could be doing that might be more fun. So thank you for being here. I have to give a shout out to Kelly Wright for giving us the space to use. And I have to tell you that I could not even be this far in the campaign without having a really, really good team around me. So if you haven't had a chance, I just want to take a second and introduce you. This is Catherine Kelly here. She is going to be videotaping everything. Also, as I was going around and asking your questions, she was recording the questions because I am going to put that as a video onto the website. So you want to keep visiting the website because those questions are going to be changed out about every 7 to 10 days. That way, if I don't get to talk to every single one of you with every question, I can address that on the website. All right. In addition to that, over at the table here, we've got Linda Breen wearing the white shirt. Linda is the person who's going to be coordinating the signs. We're going to try to put up all the signs on one day, like people go to work one day and they come home and it says love everywhere. Okay. That's the goal. So if you want to be part of that, we're going to call it the golf cart brigade. If you want to be part of that, you need to see Linda because she's going to be coordinating all of that. Not only the folks who have the golf carts, but also the folks who are going to ride on the back and jump out and put the signs. Signs will only be put where they are requested. They will only be on personal property. They will not be on city easements. If y'all don't know it, I am a major rule follower. Always have been. Fortunately, my team is too. And right next to Linda is a dear friend of mine, Carmen Cardona. When I wanted to find a treasurer, I didn't have to look far because Carmen is a CFO of a couple Ben and Jerry franchises. She's used to doing reports. She's used to jumping through hoops and making sense. And I know her to be, I'm extremely detailed. She is ultra, ultra, ultra detailed. So we're going to keep everything on the straight arrow as it should be. Okay. Then I have Julie standing with the pretty white shawl by the cake. Julie's worked with me on several committees in the past, and we've become good friends. And Julie will take care of organizing all events. So if there's anybody that feels like they could have a fairly large meet and greet at their property, see Julie. She'll set that up, everything, and coordinate the details and make sure that I'm there on time. And last but not least, what can I say? Wolfgang. I would not be standing up here doing this today if Wolf did not give me his go ahead in June. I wasn't willing to risk my relationship. He supported me 100%. So I know a lot of people think I probably made this decision after the hurricanes and seeing the disconnect in our city. That's not the case. I made this decision in June and I just kept it to myself. A few of my inner circle knew what I was doing in October after the storms, and they said, you don't have to do this. You can run. I said, no, I'm going to stay. I love my city. So I was going to spend some time telling you a little bit about myself, but Wolfgang just said that he overheard some people say, everybody knows Karen. So I'm going to kind of cut that short, but I will say this, that in the 14 years, 14 years this month that I've been here, I have worn many hats, whether it's been a worker bee, a volunteer, an organizer, a coordinator, a collaborator. I've kind of done it all. I've been involved with most of the events here in town. I have always been, my entire life, been involved in community service. And I've always seen myself more of as a civil servant. I don't see myself as a politician, guys. But, that's my background. My father taught me very early on, any job worth doing is worth doing right. And I feel like I've put that effort into everything I've done my entire life. Okay. So some of you are saying, why? Why would she do this? She's got such a good life. Why would she put herself out there? So the best answer I can give you on that is that if you don't know, I've been attending the majority, almost all of the council meetings for the last 12 years. Okay. In that 12 years, I have picked up so much information, so much knowledge about how a city works, so much knowledge about how a city government works. I mean, I have learned to question everything. I've learned that anything that involves the government takes a long time. I've learned that sometimes there's so much frustration because our city government does not express to us, we can't do that. The state controls that, or the county controls that. And to me, that simply comes down to discussion, conversation, and explanation. I think that's what transparency is. Tell people what you're thinking and why you're thinking it. Doesn't mean that the city council has to agree with everything that the residents say, but they need to give some explanations, and I think that's been really lacking. So going back to why, after 12 years, about 3 or 4 years ago, I started feeling like there was a real lack of transparency. But I feel like that is tenfold now. When we have residents come into city council meetings and they're so distraught, we've had 637 people lose their homes, or not 637 homes that we've lost. Some will come back, some won't. Okay. And what do we hear at city council meeting? Nothing. When they have an opportunity to speak and to address you all who are out there in tears and they want to talk about a Christmas parade or our tree program, I think we have a major, major disconnect, and I'm hearing it. And this is why I feel like I have to stand up and speak out, because I want the residents to be heard. And I want city council to have conversation and discussion that everybody is privy to. Recently, I complained at one of the council meetings and I said, you just passed the budget and there's hardly been any conversation. And the response that I got was, we've had plenty of conversation. And I of course I don't get a chance to rebuttal that at the time, but I'm thinking, conversation between closed doors with our city manager is not conversation. We want to be involved. Those of us who are showing up and watching on video, we want to know what's going on. We want to hear and we want to be part of the process. And when there's not enough conversation, that doesn't happen. Okay. One of my real frustrations, and if you've been following along, you know that for the last couple of years, it is very, very, very much the norm that all of our votes always come down to a 4-1 vote. Okay. April Thanos is our one. So my impression from being there that watches and there routinely is that we have gotten away from our council people voting for what's in the best interest of our city, and instead they're voting against somebody. That's major. That's major. Anybody out there who's ever worked on any kind of committee with me and all the different things I've done in the years knows that I usually will start a conversation when I'm heading a committee of any type with, well, in the perfect world, this is the way I want to see it. And then I say, and how would you like to see it? And I get all kinds of stuff. And a lot of times it comes down to a vote. I always have people 3 or 5 on my committee. It comes down to a vote. I lose the vote a lot. Do I care? No, because whatever I'm working on is going to happen. If it's not exactly my way, that doesn't make it bad. It doesn't make it irrelevant. It means that I was the outcast and I can go on to the, not a problem. So I think that that's real important. I need to take one sip of water, okay? So I've been going around and asking you all your issues, and you've been sharing with me. So let me just tell you my top three. The interesting thing to me is that my top three issues that I decided and kind of figured out in June and July have not changed. We didn't know we were about to have three hurricanes and a pop-up flood. We didn't know we were about to get devastated, but the three things that I felt were the biggest issue that I would like to address in our city are still my top three. So the number one is definitely, no surprise, Community Development Department. Okay. And that's kind of a fancy word that encompasses three different areas. That department takes care of permitting, okay, planning and zoning, and code enforcement. Okay. Those three issues and those three departments have all been struggling the entire time I've lived here. We've been arguing. I started talking about that department and saying things that people found offensive as much as 8 years ago. I don't think it's gotten any better, but I do want to say I think there's been an attempt. That department did get new software, and they did get trained on that software. And I suspect just as they were starting to learn how to work with this, we had three hurricanes and a pop-up flood. And I know there's nobody out here who's experienced that in 2.5 months time, in the past. So was our city totally prepared for this? No. I think they've done so many things right, but I think the biggest, especially public works, I mean, hooray, hooray. I think they've done a great job. But I think that's our number one issue. I'm a great organizer. I'm major into systems. I think that when I understand exactly how they're functioning, I think I can present to other people on the council, and then that we can give some suggestions to our city manager, and maybe we can get some altercations. I'm not saying that I don't think the people there are working. I think they're working, but I think they're extremely overwhelmed now. And I want to see a lot of customer service coming out of there, and that the folks working there understand how traumatized some of our homeowners are right now. The second thing that area that I would really like to address is the marina. So earlier this year, we had an outside company come in and run a meeting to address basically our plan B. It wasn't necessarily what are we going to do today, but let's get a plan. Because as they said at that time, early in the year, we don't know. We may get hit with a big one day. And we need to know how we're going to rebuild and how we're going to incorporate the wishes of the residents into that plan. Okay. So we had a meeting. There was in my opinion, there was a huge consensus. Okay. As they went around and every table after they talked amongst themselves and they presented their thoughts, I thought there was a huge consensus. What I heard over and over and over again was, we want more parking. We don't want the trucks and the trailers parked in front of our homes. Okay. We need extra bathrooms. Let's get some bathrooms either down around the South Basin or down along the Living Shoreline. They could probably come off a sewer line where the Lions Club is, get some extra bathrooms. Those were the two things that I heard the most that they wanted. And the thing that I heard we don't want is additional commercial development. So we go back to our next city council meeting, and I'm expecting to hear those results, and we don't. And I'm like, okay, it must take a little time to compile those. We get to the next council meeting 2-3 weeks later, nothing. So I asked the city manager, it said on the agenda you gave me this date we were going to hear the results. What's happened to the results? There was no consensus, so we're tabling it. There was no discussion among the council. There was nothing shared with the public. Okay. And they came out because they believed that was going to happen. That's a major problem. So my second issue, I want us to know what that said. I want the city council to talking about that ASAP. And I want the wishes and what the residents have asked for, I want that incorporated into our recovery program of the marina, because you all know our marina took a real beating. Okay. And the third thing, and this is going to bring some disfavor on me possibly, but I'm okay, has to do with our boaters. Okay. If you look at the logo of Gulfport, it says Gateway to the Gulf. I believe that we've always had boaters. I think we should always have boaters. And I think that we need to welcome our voters. And I think that we need to quit talking about boaters as if they're all the same. I mean, we have world travelers that stop here and want to come into our town and spend our money. We want them. They're compliant. They have their safety equipment. They have their pump out systems. That is not the same person who does not have a home and has made their way out to an abandoned boat and starts living there and doesn't know how to anchor, doesn't have the money to spend in our town, doesn't have the safety equipment. Okay. So I really want us to get a safety officer on the water. I'm not saying full time. Oh, good. We need a safety officer out there at least part-time. We need them to be doing the checks. We need to make sure that federal law is being followed. We need to make sure that city ordinances are being followed. And if they're not, get the heck out of town. Good, good. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up here then. In terms of, so many people are asking me, how can I help? How can I help? There's a couple of ways that you can help. One is put a sign in your yard. Two is volunteer to help us install the signs as part of the golf cart brigade. Three is, if you've seen me in action or you've seen me do good, something right, and you appreciate it, go on there and give me a testimonial, okay? Because your word matters. I'm not going to have a bunch of endorsements and testimonials from big politicians, okay? And that's okay. But I do need for you guys, if you have some experience with me over the years, to go on there and say a good word would be very helpful. Campaigns don't run themselves for free. We're all working for free. But when it comes to advertising and signs and promotional pieces, everything costs money. So if you can make a donation, if you're in a position, I know some of you are not, I get it. If you can, please do so. I do know that federal law says that we cannot accept more than $50 cash from any one person, okay? And I also know that even if you go online, nobody can donate more than $1,000. So that much I know. And if you want to make a donation today, that's what Carmen is here for at the table. If you don't have time to do that, or you're not inclined to do that today, you can go online anytime. There's a donation button there too, and you can plug in any amount of money that you want. So I appreciate it if some of you will want to donate. So here's my wrap up. If you think this city needs change, some positive energy and attitude, vote for me. If you'd like to see more conversation, discussion, common sense, and problem solving from our city council, vote for me. If you'd like to have a mayor, oh my guy's making me cry now. If you'd like to have a mayor who's present and responsive to the resident, vote for me. Because truthfully, that's who I am, and that's why I'm running for mayor of Gulfport. Thank you.